Hello guys, this is Mike from programming.org. I wanted to start this video off by showing you something that I purposely did in the last video so I can go through and remigrate our database. Hopefully you were able to read through the documentation and notice that string is equivalent to varchar, where it isn't really there to support large amounts of data. So what we have is we also have text that equivalents to text in the regular MySQL terminology, and we also have something called long text, if I can find it right here, long text. So let's go back, because if we're making a blog, we're more than likely going to have a few paragraphs, maybe a couple pages. So we need to specify this as text instead of a string. So let's change this. We want to write text, and I'll just change this real quick to just the body of the text. So I'll call this body. Let's save that. Go back to your terminal, and inside here, and let's see what our options are again in PHP Artisan. So go up to migrate, and we have refresh. So let's try that out. Clear. And let's say PHP Artisan migrate refresh. Okay, cool. So we rolled back all of our tables, and now we migrated them all over again. So now we have the correct users table. Alright, cool. So let's go back, and what I want to do now is I want to make a model for this table so we can add a couple fields to our table. So let's go to our terminal again, and I want to create a blog.php file. So go back to our terminal and clear that out. And the way we're going to do this, let's take a look at PHP Artisan again. And to make files, we look in our make command, and we have make model right here, which creates a new eloquent model class. Cool. So what we want to do now is we want to say PHP Artisan make model, and we're going to call that blog. Capital B. Cool, so our model has been created successfully. Let's go back and look at that in Sublime Text. And notice it's right under our app directory. So click on that, and it extends the model class, which model class is an abstract class that implements a whole bunch of classes. If you want to go look at the source code, there's a ton of things that it can do. So now that we have this blog class, we don't have to do anything at the moment, but we will come in here and mess with this a little bit later. Let's add some data to our table since it is empty right now. So what we're going to do is we want to mess with PHP Artisan Tinker to mess around with the data, and then we're going to persist that data to the database. So let's type out PHP Artisan Tinker. So what I want to do now is add an entry to our blog database. So I'm just going to create an instance of our blog class. So blog equals new, and we're not going to just say blog. We need to namespace this. So remember, it's capital A for app / blog, and now we have an app / blog instance. So let's fill this up, and remember that blog ID and blog timestamps are automatically generated for us, so we don't need to mess with that, but we do need to give this a title and some text. So let me do that real quick. Blog title equals my first blog, and I want to say blog body equals my first blog from a Laravel site. Now what I want to do is, this data is not persisted right now to the database. We can look at what we just added if we want to. We'll just say to array, and we have the columns that we were able to fill in. So what I want to do now is I want to persist this to the database so it will stay in there, and we will have it forever until we decide to change it. So there's two ways to go about saving this to our database. We can say blog save. Very simple. Cool. And since we got true back, it means it did save it to the database. And we can check this out by saying app blog : all. And we want to look at this in a pretty manner, so let's just say to array, and we have an auto incrementing ID of 1. We have the created at and updated at timestamps. And the next one we create, it should be 2. So let's do that real quick. Let's clear this out a little bit, give us some room. I'm going to say blog again because it doesn't really matter. We're just resetting our blog variable instance. We're going to say blog new app blog. Let's give it some data. Blog title equals my second blog entry. And let's give it some text. Awesome. So now we have two database records. So let's just save that real quick. So like I said, one of the ways we can view that the data has been persisted is through PHP Artisan Tinker. So let's do this again. Make it look pretty. And we have our two entries. So that is awesome. So let's go back and we're going to get into the MySQL terminal again and we can view it from there. So let's exit out of here real quick. Alright, so let's gain entry back into our MySQL terminal real quick. Alright, cool. So now I want to use the my blog site database. And let's see what tables we have. Make sure everything's looking good. Cool, so we have our blogs table, we have our password resets, and we have our users table. So I want to look at everything in the blogs table. So the way we do that with regular MySQL is select star, which means all the records from blogs. And we have our two records that we created.